Man, how are you? It's nice to actually do. I don't have to program one day. Eh? It's full of himself, man. So that one Jesus. Unga kato ukiunema majonengue.
Well, let's we're literally live now, gents. So we're starting. Good afternoon, Zimbabweans Nation, and around the world. We are preparing to begin and to start our program right now. And this afternoon, we're joined through to our studios by three esteemed gentlemen. One of them, by the way, is an important man because he is a war veteran. He's a leader of the war veterans movement in Zimbabwe. He is none but Comrade Victor Matemadanda, who is joining us right now live from Harare. Comrade Matemadanda, if you can hear me, sir, thank you and good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. I'm well, thank you very much, sir. And yes, we've got Dr. Nkululeko Sibanda and Wilbert Mukori. We will just warm up a bit here as we start. There's Chris Cross checking as well with our remote studios just to check with them if we are all set to go. Well, events and incidents that have been hot in the media, in the community, in the country right now have seen Vice President or the former Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa. I don't know why I still call him Vice President. I think to me he is still Vice President. Emerson Mnangagwa has exited. He is currently in South Africa. And we had reports earlier on that he had tried to skip the border to Mozambique. Well, we're going to be discussing this right now. Most importantly, the key question which Zimbabweans in the nation and around the world want to know right now: where are we? Is there a civil war going on or just about to start right now? Or we just have one of those arguments that we've always had, those political arguments that people have when they are saying, oh, who's greater, who's got more power, and all that, or who is more popular. And so here we are. Thank you for joining us on Zimai.com. Comrade Matemadanda, I hope you can hear me, sir.
I can, but I'm driving and it seems you are not starting.
Oh yes, we're starting now, sir. We have started right now, sir. So tell us, sir, where are we right now? Where are the war veterans? We saw you had a press conference just a few hours ago where you fired President Robert Mugabe. You declared that he is no longer your patron, and also we have got former Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa in South Africa, and a statement being issued by him also that he will be coming back, and he said, "There, I will fight tooth and nail." So we just want to try and ask the people want to know: are we having war here, comrades? Sir?
We had war in the 60s, 70s, and in 1980 we had a ceasefire which brought the 18th April Zimbabwe independence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any situation that might develop into a civil war. You have seen the machinations of President Mugabe. He has tried to clean ZANU-PF of all people that have got revolutionary, if you want to call it, background. And when I haven't seen the statement that we are talking about, which you are attributing to Emerson Mnangagwa, but obviously he can not think of fighting militarily,
Mm-hmm.
but fighting for a vote, which, because I think it's very possible that he can come and campaign and see if he can win, because everyone should be patient. We are a very few months away from the 2018 elections, so there is no reason to rush things. I think the most important thing for him now is to try and pick up the loose pieces and organize, prepare for the coming elections. So I don't think there is any condition or reason of a civil war, but maybe what people should do is to be careful of what they say, not to provoke other people, because maybe they are in a position of power today. But I think we should just learn to respect each other. But it's not bad if people feel cannot work together. It's not bad to part ways. We have fired Mugabe from being the revolutionary leader of our revolution, because he is anti-revolution himself. His history will tell you. You are in London, you are in Britain.
Yes, sir.
You know what causes a person to get knighthood from the Queen. And Mugabe is one of the Queen's knights, but he pretends to be hating the British, the Americans, the West, and so forth, when in actual fact, he works for them.
Well, I'll leave maybe, as I understand you don't have much time. Dr. Sibanda, sir. Oh, sorry, I apologize. I think your volume is a bit down, sir. Yeah, please proceed, yeah. Dr. Sibanda.
Yes, I think that, I get the vibe that...
Yes, sir. I think
I get the vibe that we're getting from the war veterans that are aligned with the former Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa. Of course, there are a lot of philosophical inconsistencies in terms of the positions that they are taking, that are in fact aligned with the arguments that many people made in the past. These war veterans stood with ZANU-PF for a very long time, even when a large number of Zimbabweans felt that the country wasn't going in the right direction, as the economy was plummeting. You can name many things. You can talk about Mnambatsina, you can talk about the 2002 elections, the 2008 elections, and so forth. And what you realize is that despite the respect that the war veterans in any country must be given and must be afforded by everybody, it becomes difficult when it is clear that their positions are taken on the basis of supporting personalities. It is very clear that there is a large chunk of influential war veterans that have, I think, fallen out of favor with Mugabe, that don't like him anymore and that he doesn't like. Not necessarily because there is a clear quest for democracy there, but certainly because there seems to be a liking for Emerson Mnangagwa as the successor of Mugabe. But that is neither here nor there. I think the talk of war should be dismissed, and I'm glad that the SG is dismissing that outrightly. I think that there is no war. Everybody knows pretty well that our vice president is a coward. He's never done anything of value. Or made any decision that's consequential.
I don't know if he agrees with you there. Comrade Matemadanda, is Mnangagwa a coward? He's just been called a coward there.
Well, firstly, Dr. Swanda must know that you have never asked me a question that has to do with the democracy. I thought you asked about the situation at home. And to like or dislike someone is a democratic right that should not be denied Dr. Swanda or any other person. He is free to support whoever he wants. But I'm talking about the prevailing situation at home at the moment. And he's free also to see things the way he likes. But I don't think I can have time to talk to on this forum when it is about personalities. I thought you wanted to talk about something that has to do with Zimbabwe. For someone to say the war veterans supported Mugabe and ZANU-PF, remember, all people that were old at the formation of NDP joined NDP. When NDP got banned and ZAP was formed, many, if not all people active that time joined ZAPU. And when ZAPU and ZANU split, some went to ZANU and the others remained or joined ZAPU. And the fact that he could have not been born or that he left earlier does not make him very smart. We all at some stage belonged to ZAPU and some went to ZANU and so forth. So we are not going anywhere if we want to talk about the past always. On whether Mnangagwa is a coward or not, I don't know what Dr. Swanda himself is. I don't know what he is known about, what he's known for. So I don't want to be involved in a debate or a discussion that deals with personalities and that is stagnant, that is not, that is retrogressive. I can only be patient to talk when we want to talk about a way forward. I never said I support Mnangagwa, and the whole veterans have never said, but what we said was that from the line of command on the ZANU side, the remaining senior person is Emerson Mnangagwa. That does not mean to say we impose Mnangagwa on the people of Zimbabwe. We have removed this patronage from the president of the association.
Sorry, there's a device that's making noise there. Sorry, I apologize. Please turn that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So you see, we have said this. Any war veteran from any political party can join this association because we said we did not want politics of patronage anymore. But for me, Dr. Sanders may benefit. He should know that we were not fired or expelled from ZANU-PF unknowingly. We created conditions. They tried to stop us talking what we were talking. And we said we were prepared to be fired for what we were convinced of doing. And we did not do so that Dr. Swanda should appreciate. But we did that because we thought that was the right thing to do at the moment. And whatever he thinks or whatever he would like to believe in will not stop us from the path that we have taken. We are not, as war veterans, imposing any person to the people of Zimbabwe. We are very open. We discuss with all political leaders. We hear them, they hear us. We have no problems at home. And I don't know where he's getting this.
Wilbert, I would really like, because I know Comrade Matema, you don't have much time here. The issue of war here, I'm still not convinced, and I do believe our people out there are still are in question right now, that you have, they still feel you still haven't really answered, because what we have there, Comrade Matema, was, for instance, Comrade Chris Muchangwa just yesterday making an announcement that he would never, he said, I would rather go to jail than have a Grace Mugabe vice presidency. Okay, now connect that with today the statement by Emerson Mnangagwa that he said, I will fight tooth and nail, and he says, I'm coming back there. And he also said, by the way, let us not forget Comrade Matema, he said, you and your wife are the ones that are going to leave ZANU-PF, not me.
Okay, I been to jail myself,
Yes.
but I never fired a shot at anyone. So the question of going to jail can come, and obviously comes under the Mugabe administration when anyone tries to oppose him. But for a person, for you to say, if a person says, I'm going to fight tooth and nail, this English came before Mnangagwa joined the army, joined the liberation struggle. And it was being used by people who were never trained. And even up to date, people who are not trained will say, I'll fight tooth and nail. What it means is that he is going to try everything he can to make sure that he wins an election.
To make sure, yes, to make sure Mugabe is the one that leaves ZANU-PF as well.
For remaining in ZANU-PF, it depends on who becomes popular on an election. And I think Mnangagwa is convinced that he has more support than Mugabe. And Mugabe himself and his wife have complained about people, showing support to Mugabe. To Mnangagwa more than they give to him and his wife. So,
okay.
To talk of a war, I don't think there is any condition or reason. The fact that Mnangagwa was going to be expelled or fired or demoted was obvious. Everybody saw it coming. And I don't think anyone is surprised or did not know that this was coming. And because Mugabe is the president, constitutionally, he is in a position, he has the right to choose who he wants to work with. If he says he doesn't want to work with Mnangagwa, that is not the end of the road for Mnangagwa. It is not the end also of the road for anyone that is going to be expelled. But what is going to determine is the next election, which is very near. And anyone who thinks he or she wants to get into office, I don't think they've got any reason to intimidate, to try and harass people instead of campaigning so that they'll get the support in the ballot.
Wilbert, you've got I kept you on hold there.
No problem. Well, I think the language that Emerson Mnangagwa used in his statement is frightening. And in this particular case, Zimbabwe has had history of political violence, and that is a historic fact. And the war veterans, with all due respect to Victor here, Matemananda, I think if he's being truthful, he will also admit that the war veterans have been involved in ZANU-PF's violence in the past. ZANU-PF has got a culture of political violence. That is a historic fact, and we should not run away from it. And for Mnangagwa to come up with a statement like this, yes, people have got every reason to fear that this could easily drag the whole nation into a civil war. And that cannot be ruled out, given the history of ZANU-PF and its belief that if you want something, you use violence to get it. My contention with the war veterans would be, if they really want to see to be accepted by the people and accept that yes, things went wrong, they should admit that things went wrong in the past, and now the best way they can do is to admit it, and not only that, to go one step further and say, let's have democratic reforms so that the next elections are free, fair, and credible. There's no point in participating in an election that they can turn around, or most people have turned around, as happened again and again in the past, and say the elections were rigged. That is something that we should not keep on.
Are you in a position there? And let me ask you, Comrade Matemela, because I've not heard you really being vocal about this. I've not heard any war veteran being vocal about reforms here, demanding reforms before and as a prerequisite, reforms first before elections.
I don't know where this is coming from, but if you phone Mr. Changrai, if you phone any other opposition leader, they will say we have teams that are moving around the country, discouraging people from being engaged in violence. And we have accepted the wrong things that we did long back. And it is not all war veterans who were involved. I tried to explain in some forums the people that are or those that were being used, and unfortunately, it seems some people did not hear it. But surely, if people expect that every time we talk to a panel, I should maybe begin by saying, I apologize for this. I don't think that is feasible. But if you talk to leaders of opposition parties in Zimbabwe, they will tell you that we have set a committee that is going, and they are appreciating. They talk to us. They tell us the good work that our teams are doing. But I don't know where these gentlemen are getting this from. As far as we are concerned here at home, I think there is a political convergence of mind, and repeating always also going back might even reverse, because you see, we participated in this liberation struggle when some opposition parties were formed. They did not accept war veterans. And because ZANU-PF was the only part that seemed to talk about war veterans kept supporting ZANU-PF because they thought that ZANU-PF would do something good for them.
Would carry out their objective. Their objectives.
Let me just finish on this. From the time that MDC and all other political parties accepted in the formulation of this constitution that we have, that war veterans are a national asset. We have said repeatedly, and the last press conference that we did in Harare before Mnangagwa went to South Africa, he talked about the opposition, that they are no longer enemies because they have accepted us as the liberators of this country, because at some stage they had not acknowledged that. And we are working well with them. If you try and phone them, they will tell you that everything is okay at home, and we are forging forward. But if we are talking, promoting democracy, healing, and so forth, that does not mean that I am going to join Part A or Part B. I still have a right to choose a party that I want to support, and also a candidate that I want to support. But as war veterans we have said, if the people of Zimbabwe say we want candidate A because he has got or she has got these qualities that can better our lives, we will support that person.
So, sir, today there were pictures that came out of of a gruesome state. Yeah, we're talking about bloodied faces, disfigured, yeah, beyond recognition, people who are still alive. And the reports that we got there were that these are people who are Mnangagwa supporters who have been attacked by G40 or vice versa, something like that. Judging by these, you saw these pictures, right? Did you see these pictures? And are you aware of these incidences?
I'm not aware in the sense that I saw them physically, but I saw them on the social media.
On social media, okay.
One thing that we also want to appreciate is that the culture of politics in Zimbabwe is violent. ZANU-PF has got violent people, it's true, but even in the opposition, there are intra-party fightings going on. And we must condemn violence, political violence, in all its forms. It is not, ZANU-PF, yes, is known for that, but every other party has got problems of violence, even internally. You know what happened in the opposition a month ago. So we are saying what we want to fight here is the culture of violence. Even when Zoom was formed, there was violence. So what we should fight as Zimbabweans is to fight political violence and try to bring a new culture in Zimbabwe that appreciates divergence of views, to accept the views of other people. One day I was saying Abraham Lincoln would define democracy as the rule of the people, for the people, and by the people. But that is not true as far as I'm concerned. I think the correct definition is that democracy is the rule of the majority that accepts and appreciates, respects the views of the minority.
So now, Comrade Matimadanda, before being distracted here, judging by what you saw, those pictures, because you are in Harare as well, and you are aware, I believe, you are aware of these things that are happening in the last 48 hours or so. Judging by these pictures that you saw, and also connecting with what has been declared here by Emmerson Mnangagwa, of course, you have explained here that your view is that this is just verbal rhetoric. It's not actual an actual declaration of physical war, but it's a statement of force. Now, but still, judging by what is there right now, to the people, to the Zimbabwean people, and I'm going to ask you to address right now the Zimbabwean people. Tell us, in your view, is Zimbabwe safe right now? Are people safe? And 5 months from today, running every single day, will the country be safe in terms of civil war? Or even these small skirmishes?
Talking about civil war and political violence, I think those are two very different things.
Is it?
Civil war and political violence. I don't think they mean the same thing. But well, it depends on.
I will ask our esteemed academic there, sir. Is there a difference between civil war and political violence?
No. In fact, every war is a continuation of politics by other means.
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
All wars are an extension of politics. Wars begin as politics and they end as politics. So, of course, there can be semantics there, but outside that, political violence is civil war. And a civil war aren't necessarily different. They are technically different.
Because if the police,
I think in this context they are the same.
If the police and the army can't contain it, it's definitely war. It's civil war. It's just civilians fighting each other, willy-nilly, no control. It's just war. Even if it's just two people doing it, it's still war, civilian war.
Just to follow up on that one, Simba. Actually,
Yes.
This is where I argue with Matimadanda there. That the point here is not so much that the war veterans should be going out and saying, we'll guarantee you that there will be no violence. It's not for the war veterans to guarantee that there's no political violence. It's for the police and the other state institutions. This is why it is important to go back to implementing the democratic reforms, which frees the police, frees the CIO, frees ZEC, all these other state institutions to do their work in an impartial and fair and open way. And that is why it is important to go to reforms rather than an individual. And we've seen this not only from the war veterans, by the way, we've seen it also from Tajamuka coming up and saying we've got a group of people now who are safeguarding the stopping the violence against political violence. It's not for Tajamuka or war veterans or anybody or the MDC's militia to do that. That's why we've got to go to the reforms. So to go into the elections without the democratic reforms is only asking for that kind of violence to continue. That is the argument.
And on that note, this is really I think that in my view that is an important point, Wilbert. Thank you very much for that. Comrade Batemad, and I hope you're still there.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you still haven't answered me, sir, there, because people out there want to know. People in the diaspora who are watching right now, us live, want to know here: is the country safe? In your view, by the way, we're not saying you are the authority, but you are a senior, you're an elder in the nation. You are a founding elder of this great country, and you are one way or the other connected to the chaos and the solutions as well that may be where we are. So I'm asking you right now, sir, is the country safe? And 5 months from now, I'm talking into election time, are we going to be safe?
I'll only be able to explain if you allow me time to talk. But if you interfere, then I might end up forgetting where I was and what I was saying.
I apologize, but I hope you got my point.
What I want us to appreciate is that I don't want to take this time as a time of showing opposing views with my other panelists. But when I talked about sending out teams, I never said they are promising people or assuring people that there will be no violence. They are trying to tell people the dangers of violence and try to heal. You know, there is this conception that is in people that war veterans are not educated, they don't know what they are doing. But we are doing the healing that was not done even by the government of national unity. We are doing it right now. So, on your question on whether Zimbabwe is safe, it is not safe because of what is happening. You have heard, for example, the so-called presidential interfaces. They have not talked anything about the youth, about development, about progress or anything. They have just been forums for insulting each other. And that is an indicator that people are trying to agitate young people to be violent. At the moment, there is this boy they call Shoko, has been circulating messages on the social media that they want to ban my farm, Chris Mchangwa's and Mahia's farm. And the police that Dr. Swande has been talking about know that, but they cannot act. They know that this boy has been going about assaulting innocent people and he's not arrested. So I cannot guarantee, under such circumstances, I cannot guarantee that there will be peace. But for us as war veterans, I thought you said you saw our statement. And our statement was trying to restore this country, everything permitting, into a democratic society that respects human life, human rights, rule of law, anti-corruption, and so forth. So I thought maybe we want to proffer ideas on how this can be done. But surely I am a retired person at home. I cannot assure national security, but I would want to see that prevail, because a violent society is never safe to live in. And yes, people can be, people can hate elections because during election times, violence is everywhere. And this is what we are trying to say day and night, that people should try to desist from this culture of violence.
Well, thank you very much for that. Omatema Danda.
Can I just follow up quickly on that one?
Yes,
but that is exactly what people are saying. Why doesn't the war veteran agree that there is need for the reforms before we go into the elections? I don't see what is the problem there.
Now, which war veterans now? Because I think less than 7 days ago,
on this forum, for instance, they say, well, we also agree that we should really not go into elections until we have implemented the democratic reforms that frees the police, so that when you pick up the phone and say, I've got thugs outside my farm right now, the police will come. You are the one who is admitting at the present moment the police will do nothing. That is why the reforms are required, so that the police are freed from the shackles of ZANU-PF to do their duty.
I don't know whether I should call you the chairperson. You know why we were. If Dr. Swanda has been following, you must know that we were expelled from ZANU-PF for saying ZANU-PF should carry out the reforms. This is why we were fired. And if we have not done enough in Mr. Swanda's views, then I don't know what we are supposed to do. The reason why we were fired from ZANU-PF is that we were saying things that are happening are not normal. We have even issued a statement where we said there was a mistake during the time of the unit government, because it was time framed and not goal achievement oriented, where they would have said we are going to election after having achieved A, B, C, D. But that was not done. What they did was to have 5 years, and some people got excited to say, okay, we are doing this in 5 years, and the 5 years ended without any reform being implemented. And what we have been saying at every of our press conferences is that rule of law should be observed, decisions of the courts must be respected. You know, we have a court order, a high court order that is being flaunted by ZANU-PF and war veterans aligned to it. And if that is not known by Dr. Swanda, then I don't know how we can explain. But please, I am just a citizen who is a former fighter. I'm not in military or police uniforms, and I'm not in any authority that can give orders to the police. But Mr. Swanda and myself and other Zimbabweans should encourage that instead of blaming each other. We have all, in a way, contributed to the mercy that is happening today. Some very positively, some in a negative way. But you cannot be scot-free. You know, we have contributed in a way to what is happening today. All of us.
Yes, sir. Now, we're nearly getting to the end here, because remember, as I said before, and you also told me you are in a bit of a hurry. But now, gents, and yourself, sir, Dr. Sibanda and Mr. Mkori there, and Comrade Matema Danda, this issue of violence, the statement by Emmerson Mnangagwa, and also the statement by yourselves, and the one by Christopher Muchangwa, in which he said he would rather go to jail, even though, as you now explain, even though they are taken at that level of comprehension that they are mere verbal expressions, nothing physical intended, do you not also perceive that they can create further chaos or exacerbate violence and flare it.
But I have told you that I've been in jail myself after having given a statement. So if someone says, I am prepared to go to jail, even when I was reading our press statement today, I said I know I can end up in jail. And for that statement alone, to say that Chris Mnangagwa is advocating civil war or this and that, maybe you may want to talk to him and get what he's saying, but he knows the administration that he lives under, the Mugabe administration, how it reacts to people who oppose it, and Mnangagwa, and even today Mnangagwa is opposing it. And he knows that anytime he can be apprehended and put in jail for saying that this must not be done. I'm saying we got, when I was arrested the first time, it was after we said what ZANU-PF was doing on the vendors, on the demonstrators, and also when they closed the border with South Africa was not good. And we were arrested for that. So anything that government does or what ZANU-PF does, anyone who opposes can end up in jail. And I think that is the perception that Mnangagwa has. But for the actual meaning, you might want to have it from him.
I see.
I think, I think that, one of the challenges we have with discussing the Zimbabwean and necessarily the African question in terms of politics is that we always tend to remain on the periphery, addressing those issues that are subject to one's opinion and one's preference or one's view of the world. I think that we will do a lot better when we begin to discuss these things on the basis of the underlying principles. And here is my argument, or here is my my contribution to the debate as refers to anybody, including all veterans. And I think that a lot of my thinking and understanding forces me to give an irrational level of support to people who have at one point decided to or been part of a process of freeing other human beings from a form of bondage. For that reason, I naturally have to respect anybody who is a war veteran, okay? Anybody who has fought a war. I think that I have a duty to respect the fact that they decided to make themselves available and ready to make the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom of themselves and others. And I think that there's nothing greater than that. But that does get lost when the principle, when there seems to be no guiding principles in how the same individuals work. Look, there cannot be no words that do not mean violence. Violence is the continuation of a discussion by means other than talking. So any statement, just like the statement that Mnangagwa put out, is in and of itself an end in terms of violence. It is violence. It was a violent statement. It was threatening, and it was self-glorifying, not very magnanimous. And I think that we need to be very, very, very clear about that. Look, I've been arrested by the Mugabe regime too. In 2001, in June, nobody knew where I was when I was president of the National Students Union for 2 weeks, because the ZANU-PF government had decided that they were going to interrogate me outside anybody knowing, and then get rid of me without anybody giving them problems if they needed to. And you know what? I was arrested at Kokwe Polytechnic at the direct orders of Msipa and Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa at the head of that, clearly not caring about life. And I don't think that suddenly, after leaving as a ZANU-PF member, giving instructions to take out people, that Mnangagwa has changed. And I do not believe that the war veterans, including the SG here and his chairperson in South Africa, do not know that Mnangagwa was undemocratic, was violent, and perpetuated violence, was feared. Look at the young man he found with his girlfriend, and he asked him to sit on a stove or jump out the window. This is the principle is that
He has shown no respect for human life. He has shown no respect for that for a very long time. It is and over and above that, he's talking about violence. He's talking about coming to lead. I do not understand what he thinks leadership is, given his history. The principle is not whether or not today Morgan Mnangagwa supports ZANU-PF or is fallen out of favor with Mugabe or is not in government anymore. The principle really that must underlie our discussions is whether or not there is any evidence that Mnangagwa respects the sanctity of life. There's been a genocide in Zimbabwe, 1982 to 1997, a genocide. But not just that. It's a small number of people that died in that period of time. Between 1999 and today, there's been a social economic genocide. You cannot count with certainty the number of people that have died as a result of the economic situation in the country, people who have died with diseases that are diagnosed by nurses and doctors in hospitals but can't get medication because the ZANU-PF government is corrupt, a government that Mnangagwa has been a part of. And I think that neither Mugabe, as a matter of principle, neither Mugabe nor Mnangagwa respects the sanctity of life, and that must be, in my view, the underlying aspect of our debate. Just as I argued in the last week that our view of ZANU-PF should not be one that supposes that it was a democracy and that it makes things change. We must have, from a philosophical point of view, we must say ZANU-PF is a dictatorship and therefore deal with it as such. And in this case, both Mugabe and Mnangagwa do not respect the sanctity of life, and I don't see why the war veterans, any war veteran who really fought for my freedom as a human being, for my dignity as a human being, should be aligned with anyone who has shown in the past and has not repented from a disrespect for the sanctity of life. Those kinds of people must not be respected by
I think
our war veterans.
But you are allowing him a lot of time when he's repeating the same thing.
I was just cutting him right now. If you heard me well.
When you invited me to this debate,
Yes, sir.
you did not invite me as the personal spokesperson of Mnangagwa and another person. If you had said we are coming here to discuss Mnangagwa, I would have said look for his personal spokesperson. I'm not talking on behalf of Mnangagwa. I'm talking, you said we want to talk about the situation in Zimbabwe. Mr. Slanda is obviously an aggrieved person, but I don't think this is the forum to solve his problems. And I don't want to coerce him into voting any other person. I'm not trying to campaign for any person. If he says Mnangagwa and Mugabe, this and that, we are not campaigning for another for any person here. If it is campaign, let us open a campaign debate. But I thought we are talking about the prevailing situation at home. When Mnangagwa says he is coming back to rule, a person rules after having won or after winning an election. And that can be said, this argument can only work after an election in which Mnangagwa participates as a candidate. At the moment, it's just like what people say when two teams are playing. The other one may
But he can't participate. He can't participate in anymore in any polls in ZANU PF, can he? Right now, with all this disciplinary action against him.
Well, it is not only ZANU PF that provides for elections for a candidate. And I like I've said, I'm not Mnangagwa's personal spokesperson. I don't know what he thinks. I don't know what he wants. The statement that you are telling me, I have not seen it, and he has not communicated to me. So I don't know what he wants. But I'm talking about what I see happening in Zimbabwe. I don't want to be seen to be defending or attacking any person. This is not what we have agreed to say. But I can hear that Mr. Swanda is aggrieved, he has got his reasons, and he has got his right to be aggrieved, and he also has right to want a person or to choose the person that he thinks should lead him. That is not an offense, it's a democratic right. And for a person who wants to
Mr.
support Mugabe,
Mr. Secretary General,
that
I
is
think
his
you are
democratic right.
mischaracterizing my point. I have said
Sorry?
that it is not personal for me. It is not personal to me that I was arrested. Of course, I was arrested, but I wasn't doing my own
You
job.
are attributing atrocities to people, and to the same, you are putting us in the same basket, and you are talking of other issues that the person who was said to be attacked refused to comment on. You are talking about someone being thrown through the windows. This is not what I've come to discuss.
Mr. SG,
And you are talking
I am
about
using that as an example.
You are talking about the genocide. You are talking about the genocide. We have condemned it. It has been threatened on us. And why do you want to accuse a victim for the victimization of other people?
Listen, Mr. Secretary, I have the greatest respect for your sacrifice in the past and in the present, because I believe you're still making a lot of sacrifices, and I'll always do.
But I think me and you should be careful that we waste people's time when we try to be personal. If this discussion develops in a personal debate between you and me, then I will not want to continue with it. Because if you have your queries, if you have what you want to address, I've never been in the parliament. I've never made a law. It is ZANU-PF, MDC, and the people of Zimbabwe that crafted this constitution, which needs alignment. We all participated. If you were there, you participated. And why do you want to give that fault to war veterans or another person? What have you done yourself to make this thing go right?
Whoa.
I have played my part with the Secretary General, and thank you for asking the question. But I think that what you still haven't done for me.
Mr. Dr. Swanda, you have.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why you want to use this. You want always to, when we are debating, you want to get this forum to use it to attack people you perceive to belong people to you. But this does not give any hope to the people of Zimbabwe.
No, sir.
And this is why
what I said was this. Can I just repeat myself?
If this is what you call debate, Mr. Swanda, if this is what you call debate, then next time I hear you are on the panel, I will not accept, because we have talked nothing that benefits the people of Zimbabwe, except that you want your grievances to be solved, and you see me as a defender of people who aggrieved you.
No, I think if I could sort of intervene there, and because we need to get to the end of this, because the major reason why we had to hold this rush this discussion here was to establish here where are we as a nation, and we got here.
But we have not done that.
Well, I think we have covered some ground on that.
You have not directed
to the SG. Look, it has never been my intention. It never will be my intention to personalize a national issue. All I was saying is that, as a matter of principle, we have evidence that the former VP, in league with other ZANU-PF leaders, have shown us that they have no respect for the sanctity of life, for everyone's right to be alive. And that as a result of that, my expectation.
That is for them to answer. It's not for me. I've been arrested several times. I'm also a victim. Why do you want to allot that blame on me?
I'm not blaming you, I agree with you. But my contribution to that was...
You must be part of the solution, because you are also a Zimbabwean yourself.
I think if I could, why
do you want me to solve when you are doing nothing?
If I could just chip in here, Comrade Matemadanda, if I could just chip in here, unless if I heard him wrong, Dr. Swanda is talking about the core question here, or the core subject that we have decided to just hold this discussion on. Where are we right now as a nation? Are we safe? Will we be safe? If I could just finish, please. Will we be safe? Will the nation be in a safe state right now across the whole plateau into 5 months from today. We're talking about into election time. And what he's just been talking about there, when he talked about the principle, the underlying principle, was to say if we are going to understand where we are in terms of national security or internal security right now, us and he said we need to get to agree that we have a fundamental problem, and that problem lies in the culture. And he mentioned there the fact that there are people who belong to the establishment that caused the chaos, that caused the violence, which is still perpetuating right now. And those people right now, this has to be acknowledged. And I think this was really the pivot of his contribution there. If it sounded like an attack on you, I mean, look, I also have to apologize for that, because I don't want to facilitate such a thing, Comrade Matema, and where you are then, if your fingers up, because I am aware, Comrade Matema, and what you, yes, the sufferings that you yourself have been under. And I think that is people need to understand that and honor you for that, because you have stood for the truth. I believe you have stood for justice, and you know, you're not someone here who's out to be blamed. What Sibanda is simply talking about here is the seed of the crisis. And I think there, Comrade Matema Danda, so that we get to the close of this, right? What he's just saying there is that the people
why do you think you want to speak on his behalf? You have asked me my opinion, what I think, and this is what I've told you. But my analysis could be wrong or right. We are not talking of a thing that is already, as you want to believe, that there will be a civil war. And my view is that there is no possibility.
I think he's just being held. I'm just going to try and bring him back. I apologize there. It's gotten a bit emotive, right? But the thing is, you know, I will ring him back straight away. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I think it is.
I think that the broader point that that certainly that's my approach to these things, and I think that a lot of people who take maybe it's a problem with being an academic, if we can call it a problem, is that more often than not I try not.
I apologize. You got cut off there. So yeah. Oh yes,
what
yes.
I'm saying is that what I've been saying is that I have told you my opinion.
Yes.
My analysis and my understanding of the language that was used and the possibility. I'm not seeing anything. But as for the violence, I've said it is there. Intra-party violence is in ZANU-PF, is in MDC, is even in the People First, is everywhere. And we as Zimbabweans want to deal with the culture of violence collectively. I've acknowledged and said that.
Yes, and Dr. Sibanda, you're not disputing that, are you? Are you disputing that? Okay, right.
No, I completely agree with that.
Oh yeah, he's not disputing you.
What you're also saying, Comrade Matema, is that what you've got to accept and realize and maybe take into cognizance next time you meet your fellow war veterans is that the solution you're proposing that you will help safeguard the freedom and stop the violence is not actually going to work, because this has got to be done at a national level, at a structural level, where we change the institutions of government that are responsible for keeping up the peace. Because as long as ZANU-PF has got the police hamstrung, the police will not do anything. And if you are in one party and I'm in another party, and your supporters and my supporters start fighting each other, the police will not be involved. That is not helping you or me. What is the argument? So the argument here is that we must all accept that going into an election without reforms is not going to change anything. All it's doing is we are passing the violence and allowing, particularly ZANU-PF, they've got the advantage in the sense that when it's ZANU-PF thugs beating your supporters or my supporters, the police will do nothing. If you or my supporters beat ZANU-PF supporters, the chances are they will be arrested and they will be punished. And in some cases, we've had situations where ZANU-PF supporters have attacked opposition supporters, and the opposition supporters, the victims, have ended up being arrested and taken to jail. That is the political reality. And that is why we must all focus on, let's implement the democratic reforms first before we go into the election. Because otherwise we'll be just going round and round in circles. And that is the argument. It's not criticizing you, it's not criticizing the war veterans, it's not criticizing Mnangagwa. He may have changed. Let's hope he has changed. But if he has changed, that is the democratic change that we would want to see from him. That is the democratic change that we would also want to see from the war veterans.
And when
That's the democratic change we would want to see from in ZANU and the opposition. That is the argument.
So up to that time, when the reforms have been implemented, there will not be any change. There will not be any safety. Is that what we are saying here, gents? Comrade Batemadana.
I mean, this is why you find even after the war veterans have issued their statement, the violence still continues. Right now, Simba, you were just showing us and telling us about these attacks on
Mnangagwa youths.
Mnangagwa supporters.
Yes.
This ZANU-PF party violence within ZANU-PF itself. We've seen it happen with the opposition. We've seen it happen among the opposition, as Comrade Matemadanda was saying correctly there. Among the opposition themselves, there have also been violence.
Serious and a very serious one.
To implement the reforms.
So it must be reforms. Dr. Sibanda, we agreeing there, so maybe we can get to an end here. I think it looks like here our conclusion.
But I thought I would want to. You said you got our statement on what has just been saying. You said you've got our statement. If you look at subparagraph L and M. If I can read it to you, we said we condemn in no uncertain terms Grace Mugabe's interference in cases that should be decided in the courts. Well, continue on other things. We also said on M, we said we condemn the selective application of the law in Zimbabwe. So I think that talks about what he's saying, that ZANU-PF youths commit an offense, they are not arrested, and if the opposition do that, they are arrested.
Yeah, but the argument you and me can condemn it as much as we like.
Sorry. I think it's finishing. Yes, Comrade Matemadanda.
I'm saying, if you have the full statement, the full printed statement that we have,
yes.
Can you avail it to Dr. Swanda so that he sees saying what he has just been saying?
I see. Oh, he's saying that I must avail the full statement to you, Dr. Swanda, so that maybe you can also get to appropriate where we are here. Well, yes, gents, it's been great having this discussion. I think we should continue. We should have another one, perhaps very soon, as events are unraveling right now in the country on this whole crisis here. And as we started there, the major matter that we have been on this particular topic, it's just been about the safety, the security situation in the nation. Do we have a civil war, and how can it be stopped? How can it be abated? And I just want to thank Dr. Sibanda, Wilbert Mkori, and Comrade Victor Matemadanda, the Secretary General of the War Veterans Association. I hope you are still there, sir.
Yes, I'm there.
Oh,
I've been willing to talk.
Oh, splendid, splendid, sir. Thank you so much. It's been awesome having you, sir, here, and I must say we are grateful that you are availing yourselves to be addressing the nation on these issues. I think it's for the first time in the history of our nation in the last few months or so, well, last 2 years or so, we have seen now war veterans coming up to engage and to be members of one of us. Makwita will say Su, you're no longer the elite, and I think that is honorable, sir.
But he never. I can also blaming him not having fun for the last 2 years.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, Yamatemadanda, you were still saying something?
I'm saying you did not phone me in the 2 years that you are talking about. I was wondering why you were not phoning me.
Comrade Matemadanda, I think I can send you interviews that I've done of you. I can send you right now that I've done of you about a year ago. You probably have forgotten.
I don't know, but I don't remember you phoning me. But thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. Been great. Thank you so much, gents. And
thank you.
Yeah, well, Comrade Matemadanda, how lastly, let me ask you, how is the Vice President? I'll still call him Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa. How is he? When last did you hear of him? Last say because Pautano, because we heard he wasn't well. That's why he went to South Africa.
Well, I have not been talking to him for quite some time. I may not know. I've been seeing him moving, walking, but I never talked to him to hear how it is like.
But Comrade Muchanga, very vesekana Comrade Muchanga, South Africa right now. They're together right now as we're talking.
You are telling me where I am there's no TV. I have not seen them.
Oh, I see. Perhaps maybe you're not communicating. Well,
I don't know. We communicate, but we have not communicated today.
I see.
With the chairman.
Mambotara na Mchanga.
I was
I see. Do you see him coming back soon? Mnangagwa. Honestly, from the bottom of your heart.
People want him back, but I don't know what he's going to do. But people want him back. People have confidence and hope in him. But obviously, people are saying they want something like a grand coalition that will try and promote the lives of the people. So the views that I see at home are different from what we have been articulating in this debate. People at home generally accept their leaders. They realize and understand that these other differences and hostilities are almost finished now, because people are seeing, you saw almost a coalition with Ratangrai. You have seen Wanamtasa and other people, Wanabit and others, trying to work together. Wana Comrade Davengwa getting into whether it's a code or code, I don't know, but there is convergence of political views in Zimbabwe. And you foresee a situation where Mnangagwa could lead a political formation of maybe the whole combined forces of opposition movements, Changirai, Mujuru, Zapu, and all sorts? I don't know what those people might want and what they might think, but there is a possibility today of Zimbabweans getting together, talking with one voice. This is what we've been advocating, and it seems to be gathering momentum. So I think anything or everything is possible, because the hostilities that were there are no longer there. In fact, they are fading away. So anything is possible.
Emerson Mnangagwa, the head of the opposition. Thank you very much, Comrade Matemadanda.
But that comes from you, not me. I say it depends on what the leaders of those formations would want. But obviously, people are being encouraged not to sacrifice Zimbabwe for personal gratification.
The last person, the last time I heard that statement there, it was from Joyce Mujuru when she was saying that she must be made the head of the opposition. Changirai must be under her.
Well, I did not see that, and I was not privileged.
So that could also imply maybe that Emerson Mnangagwa is the most qualifying person here to lead an opposition movement. But no, this is all conjecture. But it's great having you, Comrade Matemadanda, and yeah, I do look forward to having you soon.
Thank you, but what I want you to take home is that there is no person who is best qualified until proven. So anyone is qualified or is not qualified until they are tested. Samora Machel was just a soldier, but he led the army into a democratic party. The likes of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, he was a male Form 2 person, but he was able to unite the people of Zambia such that they no longer see tribe as an issue. We talk of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere managed to unite the people of Tanzania. So leaders can only be proved if they are given a chance. But no one can say because they are tried and tested.
Julius Nyerere put more black people in prison than the South African apartheid regime on the basis of tribes. He was a smelling tribalist by any measure of imagination.
Oh yeah, Zanzi, you must not put Julius Nyerere in the line of nationalists who are not tribalists, because Nyerere he was the worst tribalist, even worse than apartheid South Africa.
Well, I don't know. I don't know his perceptions. I don't know where he gets that from. I don't want to
prisoners than apartheid South Africa.
Zanzi, he had more prisoners. Julius Nyerere had more prisoners than apartheid South Africa.
Political prisoners.
Yeah, political prisoners, not.
Poverty can contribute to crime. And and so forth. Those are that I don't want to open a new debate.
Zanzi, my political prisoners. Okay.
I was in Tanzania myself. I can tell you, Tanzanians do see them each other on tribal lines. This is what I mainly wanted to say. He managed. Okay, if he was arresting, but he managed to unite the people of South Jama. And of course, no one is perfect. People make mistakes, but I'm trying to say, what to try to fight and create is to bring national unity. But we have leaders who want to talk tribalism, and this also contributes to violence and so forth. This is what I was mainly talking about. But
yes.
On whether Mwalimu Julius Nyerere was democratic or not, I cannot argue because I did not concentrate on that. I was mainly talking about what the Tanzanians said about their marine. But of course, there could have been, some ill treatment of people, which I cannot deny. I was not privy to that.
Comrade Matamala, thank you so much. Trust you have a good night, and we will catch up ASAP.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Oh, yes, sir. Zimbabweans nation around the world. We've come to the end of our program there. It's been quite an exchange there. We intended not to last more than 15 minutes. Weird that we've had to go beyond. It's nearly what? an hour 20 or so. But I think it's been important. Do you think so, Dr. Zimanda? It's been, to really hit.
We did this. The nation needs to start to have a conversation, and you're starting these conversations. I think that there's something coming out of it.
Wow, yes. We're getting to the end. We got to the end now. Zimbabweans nation and around the world. Let's continue with us in the news. By the way, the articles covering this whole matter of Emmerson Mnangagwa are on the website right now on zimai.com. To proceed right now, I ask you to jump there and let us interact in the news here. There's debate. Subscribe to our news channel, by the way, on YouTube, where you're watching from right now, YouTube. And just press the subscribe button there so that we can keep you updated on these matters, these news events as they are happening. And yes, we have come to the end of our program. I apologize that I failed to read people's comments, by the way. We usually do this, get to